Try that. That's good, man.
That's good. Welcome back.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Welcome back to the Justice and Faith Show. He's Justice.
And she's Faith.
And every other Sunday, we sit down, we talk about things that are important to us. So it could be anything from interracial relationships to mental health. So if you like what you hear, please think about hitting that subscribe button, like, comment, all the things, because we're here for you every other Sunday. Today, we are talking about therapy and why it's not for me. Is that good?
My bad, y'all. This look, it's creamy. I should do a plug, but then hopefully every time you have to Tivani, every time we drink something different. I'm not drinking alcohol anymore, guys. I know the last couple of seasons y'all used to seeing me have a little sippy sip, but one of the reasons why we're doing this is because the sippy sips don't do me any goody good. So I'm going to stick to this tea and. Man, I'm gonna get the bag because this is awesome. You can talk about what we're talking about.
All right, so we're talking about therapy because you guys know, over the past year or so, Justice and I have been. Okay, there's his plug.
Golden milk latte, got turmeric, ginger, cinnamon, black pepper, and coconut milk. Come on, y'all, it's superfood. You wanna look beautiful like me? You gotta drink the good stuff. Anyway, sorry, babe.
You guys know, over the past year and a half, Justice and I have been on a discovery tour of ourselves, of our relationship, of just improving life in general. And in doing so, we have uncovered certain things, more so me, that just need a little bit of work. So we decided to start therapy individually, not together, because we have different things we need to work on. So because of that, we figured that it would be a good topic. So do you have anything to add before we keep going?
Yeah, so for disclosure, we had all this stuff done. This is our second time recording this because everything got messed up.
Yeah.
Since then, our therapeutic things have changed again.
Yeah.
And so then the next level is going to be for us to do some couples therapy. But figuring out exactly what we want is going to be important. One of the things I want to say as a disclaimer is right now, due to COVID, a lot of therapy and counseling sessions are being done virtually. Get help however you can if you feel that you need it, or if you I don't even want to say if you feel, because a lot of people don't feel that they need the help. However, I would be disingenuous if I said I'm not a fan of the virtual thing. I believe that the ambiance of going into a counseling office or a therapy office, the smells, the sights, the people you interact with is just as important as the content and delivery within. So if you can find anything that's in person, even if it's not counseling or therapy, a support group, things like that, that's going to be coming up that I'm looking into. There's a few people I've connected with, and they're going to tell me about women's support groups for faith. I forgot what the one guy said, it was ACA or something, and it was about kids who grew up with traumatic stuff but didn't know it. And I thought it was interesting because he said his wife, didn't really know, and I was like, well, maybe that'd be good for you. So whatever kind of support you can find, but in person as much as possible. If you're COVID is icky type person, just wear your mask if you're not vaccinated. But I say get in front of people. Talking to people face to face, to me, is always the best policy, especially if you're an introverted type person. If you're a person who doesn't do well with expressing your feelings anyway, if you do it virtually, it still kind of leaves that layer of protection where you're not fully being yourself. So I just wanted to get that out there.
So we kind of wanted to talk about this in layers. So the first layer is obviously the title. You can see it says therapy is not for me. That could be people think that they don't need to go to therapy. But that's not how we mean it. We mean it because therapy is for everybody else in your life. It's not, it's for you. Obviously, you're going to improve, you're going to learn things, you're going to grow, but more importantly than that, it's for your relationships, your significant other, your friends, your family, even your coworkers, anybody that you're in contact with. That's who's really going to benefit from you going to therapy or getting therapy. It's just really that working on yourself to help those around you as well, if that makes sense.
No, well, I want to clarify that so it does make more sense. So the thing about it is we don't know how other people experience us. One of the things about therapy for Faith specifically is I experience her in a way that she doesn't quite know that she's presenting herself to be. Mm-hmm. She's not a chaotic person. She's not a... She never talks down to me or bad to me. She doesn't call me names. So she's super sweet and loving. However, how I receive her is that there's some concepts that are fairly simple that I believe that I break down as much as possible, and there's miscommunications a lot and misunderstandings because Faith hasn't adjusted to the reality of her life. And when I say that, I mean like she's just now within the last few years discovering who she really is.
Right.
So it's important to understand that when she's like, well, it's for other people, the more she finds out about herself and understands that, the better it will be for us as far as communication is concerned. So I'm not quite sure exactly, I forgot where I was going with that. Sorry, we had an interruption, and it totally threw me off. You guys can't see it, but you saw Faith shaking her head. This is what happens when you record in times that you don't plan on recording. But just long story short, it's just that the therapy aspect of it, the counseling aspect of it, is so people can, or you can more so understand how people receive you. If you're doing the work and you understand that you're getting better and people still receive you a certain way, then maybe they need to look at themselves. That's why I kind of with therapy and stuff, I have certain people receive me a certain way, but there's way more people that receive me as I am, and it's pretty awesome to get that feedback, so that when I deal with those few people, it more so is because I'm a very self-aware person, and I'm honest with me. Most people don't want to be honest with themselves, and that's where Faith is right now, where she's becoming more honest with herself, and she's becoming more accepting of the truth, where she might not even thought of something before. So it wasn't so much she was living a lie, more so that she's discovering, like, wow, like, I wasn't told everything, or I didn't look at everything by choice, or whatever the situation may be. And you can correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that makes sense, and that's right. Because, like, for me specifically, it boils down to, I have been a people pleaser my whole life, and that actually goes deeper than I realized. Like, I'm realizing certain things. Like, I suppress any negative feelings. Now the cat's going crazy. I suppress any negative feelings to the point where he'll ask me how I'm feeling, and I won't know how to respond. If that makes sense.
Like I've asked her, I've asked her stuff where most people I asked her how did she like, I know this sounds crazy, even saying it out loud, but I asked her, how did she like to be touched? And she said, I don't know. And then she paused and she said, however it is that you touch me. And to me, that was a very profound thing, because I'm just like, I know how to touch her because I know how she reacts when I touch her. But as far as the conversational thing is concerned, if she's like, oh, I love it when you do this, or when you say this, or when you wear this smell or certain thing like that, it helps me understand the things to do and to stay away from for her, for the enhancements of her, because I like certain things.
And it's also to the point where it's not only negative feelings, sometimes it's positive feelings, because I don't want to start expecting something and then get let down. I don't want to feel like I'm being selfish. That's another big one for me. Me time and like self-care, it feels selfish to me. Like I feel like I'm being selfish. So those are all things that I'm dealing with and working on, and it's all stuff that's kind of come up over the past few months, really. Like 6 months, I would say, I've really started figuring some of this stuff out about myself, and it's been eye-opening. But we touched on this earlier. If therapy is not for you, like if you don't like the virtual therapy, or if it's too expensive, because it is expensive, there are other ways that you can supplement that we've been working on, and we have a couple for you. So obviously therapy sessions, that's like the basic easy one. But then books are really good. And if you have a mobile device and you have Google Play, you can get free books. I have 2 that I'm going to tell you guys about, and I'll actually link it in the description box. 10 Questions to Improve Self-Awareness by James Fries is actually what really catapulted me into some of this, because it asks questions, and it encouraged me to write down the questions and the answers. And I'm really good about getting my stuff when I write it. Why are you laughing?
It's how deep you were. I don't know, your voice got so deep.
Like, I'm actually very good at conveying my points and thoughts and feelings when I write it down. For whatever reason, it's so much easier for me that way. So,
and I'm the opposite. And so that's another therapeutic, and even before therapy is something I kind of realized, but once she started reading these questions and doing these questions, I encouraged her to do it more. Mm-hmm. And the discussions that we had based off her, it was like, we're not as far off, but like everything she wrote was nothing ever that she had said before. So it was like,
right.
You can convey how you feel, but I process things very fast and then I can verbalize them.
Right.
Faith doesn't operate that way.
I have to think about it. I have to process it. I have to it's like more of a slow, drawn out process.
And that, for me, Mr. Impatient Aries, but not even that, there's just certain things that, and honestly, it comes back to our opposite upbringing, all that kind of stuff. I process relational things differently because my relationships have always been rooted in, like, and I don't want to say it like that, but it's been rooted in reality, and the driving force has always been, like, how can we get better? What's the next thing? Where faith is more so, I don't want to say it like this, but existing within the relationship.
Okay.
It wasn't so much about the growth of the relationship. It was about just being present in the relationship.
Yeah.
So the questions and things that come up, even about children and things, and it's like there's a lot of I don't knows, and I'm like, that can't persist. Mm-hmm. We can't have a marriage and a relationship where you're like, I don't know. But the fact of the matter is she really doesn't know. So I'm just like, it's a huge thing that I didn't know the first time we married or the beginning of the second time. I didn't understand how wide the gulf was. Mm-hmm. With her really not knowing things, as opposed to me just saying, oh, you just don't care, or you don't want to know. Like, she literally didn't even know where to start with some things.
Exactly. So, like I said, 10 questions to improve self-awareness, James Fry's. I'll list that down below. That was a free book, like totally free. It was wonderful. And then I got another one called Emotional Intelligence by James W. Williams, which is another area that I feel like I definitely need improvement, emotional intelligence, because it's all about knowing yourself, knowing your emotions, being able to control them, being able to convey them, be able to like just process them in a healthy way. And then, of course, we have these books that he found actually on Amazon. This one's called No More Fighting, 20 Minutes a Week to a Stronger Relationship. And it's like it was written for me. The first 3 or 4 chapters have been very pointed things that I need work on. Self-care, saying no, because, again, people pleaser. I don't like to say no. So self-care, saying no, feeling your feelings, and then stories we tell ourselves. That was the last one. Because we like to make stories up about why people are doing what they're doing, because based on past experience, based on just anything other than what's actually happening. So whenever, like, he were to do, like, if he were to go out and do something, it would be very easy for me to make up a story about what he's doing and who he's with and what, like, and that kind of thing. So it was very interesting, and it's very much pointed to me because most of the stuff he's really good at. And then the other one is the couples activity book, and this one has like interactive games and puzzles and different things that we could do together it says to strengthen your relationship. So again, I'll list all of these down there. But okay, now we covered sessions, we covered books. Next thing that we've been using a lot of is YouTube. Now, it's a rabbit hole and there's lots of stuff out there, so some of it's not great. But if you know specific things that you need work on, you can be more direct.
Find something that works for you and then build off of it. Yeah. Communicate with people about the stuff that you find. Somebody else might listen to it and they might have a difference of opinion. The more people you talk to, the more opinions you get. Somewhere in the middle of all that is the thing that really is going to work best for you. So just do that.
Right. And then journaling, family, friends, music, all that good stuff. And then the last thing we wanted to touch on before we closed up is it's normal to need help, and you shouldn't feel like embarrassed or like you're weird or you're weak or anything like that. You should feel actually empowered to know, hey, I need help in this area. I can't do it alone, and I'm going to go do something about it, as opposed to just saying woe is me and like just not caring. So.
And you got to be willing to start to work. It was funny. Today, so like I said, we're off schedule because we had to redo everything. But today, that discussion I had, gentleman actually did ask me something. And he was talking about how you started. And he said, he talked about how you specifically and starting on your own. And I think that that's an important thing for people to understand, because I've done a lot of this work because I've had to. And when I say because I've had to, it's because it's important to me. This is becoming more important in faith too. So now she's gaining more of an ability to say, I need to start on my own. The first few books a couple years ago that came into the house, I bought them. And someone told me, did she ask for them? Don't put books in front of her she didn't ask for. And she read them, and we did actually really good. It's like we had a really good relationship for months. And then you stopped reading them, and then you weren't doing anything, and then it got rough again.
Yeah.
And then it's like, so I had to be mindful, because I would say, go read a book, or go do this, or go do that. And I had to, because my temperament was kind of like, we were just good, now we're not. And I'm just like, okay, I guess if she reads the book, it'll give her the insight she needs to help her through this thing. And I wasn't too pleasant about saying it, because to me it was frustrating, because she wasn't taking initiative to keep reading books and keep learning things and keep doing this stuff, because I have. And I'm just like, what are you not getting? And so whenever I bring it up, whether I was being kind or nice, or whether I was just being, whatever, it came across as like, why are you asking me that? Like, why are you asking me if I read the book? Every time we have a disagreement, and it's like, you have to take the accountability for yourself to continue to do the work. If your spouse, significant other, has to tell you, then you will feel attacked. You will feel like they're coming down on you. You will feel like, I need a break. I need to relax. But hey, relationships are hard work. Marriages are hard work. It's an everyday process. Mm-hmm. It's not a 24/7 process where you got to be on top of each other and constantly communicating and reading books and stuff. But do the work. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of time we spend scrolling on our phones and watching television and doing all types of things that we don't really need to be doing. Take 5 to 10 minutes to read the couple's activity book and do an actual activity with your significant other. Mm-hmm. Read and ask them how do you feel about that? Word association is one of the things, and then discuss why it's like that. Ask them, what does trauma mean to you? Ask them, what does love look like to you? What's your love language? I know some people aren't into that, but what's your love? How do you like to be touched? Really, what do you consider intimacy? All these things are quite, because a lot of people just assume. We'll do another one about that, but the whole intimacy versus sex versus sensuality thing. Some people think all of that is together. Somebody's like, oh, we've been intimate, and they'll automatically think it was it's set up with sex. But no, I can be intimate with somebody and never touch them. And these are things that we need to understand, because if she, we're having a discussion, and let's say I got a text message, this is weird, and it was like, oh, well, we've been intimate, Justice, and she reads that. And it's like, whoa, you had sex with somebody. And it's like, no, I didn't have sex with anybody. It's kind of hard to explain, because either way, I would be wrong. Let's just, But how people receive things is different. Being vulnerable is an intimate thing for a lot of people. And people are very vulnerable with me. So we have to have a clear understanding of, this is how I am. This is how people receive me. Mm-hmm. And because she doesn't get received the same way, she has to understand, okay, this is, it's critical to understand each other on a whole different level. Right. So she has to constantly do the work for herself, to understand herself first, and then transfer that over to me, and vice versa. With me, I have to continue to do the work and learn how to be, have grace and have patience and kindness in her journey, because she's working to catch up to where I'm at now, where I'm still working through certain traumas and things like that. So, we just want to tell everybody that, the work is there. You just keep doing the work.
Yeah. So with that, we're going to close, because we're trying to keep these a little bit shorter than usual.
And actually, I'm glad that we messed up the other one, because this is shorter. So we're going to cut this off. We'll see you guys soon.
Yes.
If you have any questions, you want to know anything more about...
If you have stuff that works for you therapy-wise, let us know.
Let us know, yes. And because we're happy to look into it.
Yes. So until next time,
keep your faith strong.
And maintain your justice.
Talk to you guys later. Boo, boo, boo.